Morning, everybody, and welcome back to Behind the Curtain of Leadership. So, what's probably the most challenging part of being a person or a leader? Aside from getting people to do what you want them to do, it's probably dealing with change, right? I mean, we're either thinking about the changes that we want and trying to figure out how to do it, or we're dealing with the changes that we don't want and trying to figure out how to navigate that side of the equation. It's tough either way, which is why we struggle with change. So in the last couple of videos, we started talking at a very high level about what our program subconscious belief system is, how it forms, how it shows up in our lives. And if you haven't watched those videos, you should probably watch those before watching this one or any future ones, or they may not make a lot of sense to you. So thinking about how our program subconscious belief system affects our ability to change, let's first look at how it affects us as individuals before we look at how it affects our ability to lead change in others from a leadership position. So you think about the more obvious changes that we might be interested in, right? Changing our diet is tough. Changing our exercise habits is tough. Changing our lifestyle is challenging. Changing our career and our career ambitions is also a challenge. And then after the more obvious ones, you go into some of the deeper personal changes, right? Attitude, outlook on life, what you believe in, mindset, what we want to accomplish in life, what's important to us as a person. And this list goes on and on. But all change, whether physical and tangible or emotional and intangible, big or small, is dramatically affected by this program subconscious belief system. Remember, we said that each of us has this belief system that's been created, enforced, challenged, and reinforced repeatedly since birth, up until this very day. It becomes part of who we think we are. It's running nonstop in our subconscious mind, filtering every single stimulus we experience every moment of every day forever. Okay, that's how it works. It becomes our belief system and it guides our reactions, our opinions, our thoughts, our words, and you cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid it. It becomes our stability, our consistency, our routine, and our security blanket, if you will, right? It's who we are, it's who we think we are. Everyone around us also has the same thing going on in their subconscious mind, filtering their stimulus every moment of every day in their life. And they can't avoid this either. Okay, so then as we interact with each other, develop and build relationships, come to have expectations of those around us based on how they historically and consistently act and react to what's going on. So each of us has this programmed subconscious belief system. Is not only our personal security blanket, but it becomes a collective security blanket for everyone around us. We build our routines, expectations, and stability based on each other. Okay, you follow me on this? So we've all built our individual and collective security blanket and routines on expectations based on historical patterns that have created and reinforced this programmed subconscious belief system for our entire lives. So, what happens when one person tries to change, go away from the historical patterns? Well, what do you think happens? It screws up the collective security blanket and routine for everyone else, doesn't it? Yeah, and guess what? Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. Because at the end of the day, people like the routine, the known, the safe, the patterns, the predictability of their daily lives. And when you try to change they resist simply because their programmed subconscious belief system automatically tells them to. And based on what we just said about people liking the routine, the predictability of their lives, when you personally try to change something, you're screwing things up for them. And the reality is, nobody wants you to change. Okay? Think about that. First and foremost, most of the people around you do not want you to change. They've become comfortable with who you are, how you think, the decisions you make, the words you use, the actions you take. Subconsciously, they built the stability and routine of their life around you to a great extent. And as we said earlier, people like routine and predictability, the known over the unknown. When you grow as a person, you learn, experience new things in life. You use different words, you ask different questions, you have different perspectives that challenge the routine that we said everybody is comfortable with. When this happens, people around you get nervous and uncomfortable. And the reason that is simply because when you change, you're forcing them to change. And they either don't want to or they're not ready to because they don't have the same why that you have for your change. This is one of the most important concepts leaders need to understand and why it's so difficult for people to truly change their lives, especially when you're asking others around you to change. Now, let me give you a real life example of me. About 20 years ago, I decided to change my diet, my way of eating. I'm not going to go into the backstory of why, but it was a very intentional decision, and I was committed to at least give it a shot. And at my chosen date, I stopped consuming sugar, gluten, dairy, and coffee all on the same day. Cold turkey, all on the same day. And aside from the physical withdrawals I experienced, which were a lot more than I expected and very real, my change meant that my family now had to adapt to my new diet, even though they weren't making the changes in their diet. So what that meant was groceries shopping changed, eating out changed, family parties changed, and my wife especially didn't like it. Nobody liked the change I was making. At that time I was traveling regularly, so lunches and dinners with local employees or customers also changed, which meant it changed the restaurants we would go to, and they didn't like that change. I was forcing them to change and adapt to my changes, and nobody liked that. And all my changes caused those around me to push back on me simply because I was upsetting their routines based on what they had come to expect of me. Now, their pushing back could have caused me to give up on my changes because it affected the routine I'd come to expect from them. Now, you can see how just one change I made in my life had such a ripple effect and impacted so many others, right? Think about something in your life that you want to change. It could be anything. It could be simple. It could be significant. When you tried that, did you experience an element of this subconscious pushback from those around you? Think about when someone else wanted to make a change. How did you react? Did you automatically embrace their change or did you push back on it? Why did you push back on it? Aside from the intellectual thinking about how their change might affect you, did you also experience some emotional reactions? Maybe something you couldn't quite quantify or even explain. That is your subconscious programmed belief system in action. Okay? That's it. Now, you can apply this to any changes you've made or you're thinking about making, and you can see why change is so challenging. We're not only changing our program belief system that we've built, enforced, challenged, and reinforced for our entire lives, but we're also dealing with everyone else's programmed subconscious belief system that's pushing back on us as well. And this is truly why I think most people find changes in their lives to be so challenging and so difficult that they just simply give up. They know they want to make changes and they expect internal pushback, but they don't anticipate the subconscious, emotionally driven pushback they get from all of those around them. And when you understand this, you will start to approach change differently. You'll anticipate and understand the subconscious internal pushback and be ready for it. You'll anticipate and understand and be prepared for the pushback from those around you. You'll be in a much better position to be successful with the change that you want. Now, look, knowing all this doesn't mean any changes you're going to try to make are going to be easy, right? You still have to do the work. You still have to have a clear goal of change. You have to have a plan to achieve the goal. You have to be disciplined and committed. You have to have a why. You have to have the courage to actually start the change. And you have to look at change in a positive, optimistic way versus being afraid of it or a negative mindset. And for many of us, having the change in mind or the goal or the outcome is the easy part, right? It's the doing that's the hard part. And if we don't understand how powerful our subconscious belief system is working in our lives, it will undermine us at every turn, making the change so hard that we simply give up, which unfortunately only serves to reinforce that very same programmed subconscious belief system that we're not capable of change. And the next time we think of changing something, we'll find our belief system has reinforced itself, and we will stop that change before we even get started. So, in the next video, I'm going to talk about how this struggle with change in ourselves ties into leadership, and why this very same concept makes team change so hard, and why so many leaders eventually give up and simply maintain the status quo. So, to wrap up this idea on our personal change, each one of us has our own self-reinforcing programmed subconscious belief system that we've built, enforced, challenged, and reinforced repeatedly since birth, that becomes part of who we are and is our subconscious security blanket, our routine, our consistency, our predictability. Each person around us has the exact same thing going on in their subconscious mind. People like and build their lives around routine and naturally resist anything that challenges or threatens that routine. When you change something about yourself, those around you pick up on this and subconsciously push back against you as you're making them change something in themselves, and they don't like it. And finally, overcoming this programmed subconscious belief system requires a very strong why in you, and an understanding that you will be challenged. And if your why is strong enough, you'll work through it, but do not underestimate the ripple effect you're going to have on everyone around you. It's going to make the change for you that much more difficult. So thank you very much for watching this today, and I sincerely hope this has given you a new, maybe a different perspective on how your programmed subconscious belief system works in your life, and maybe put you in a better position to actually be successful with any change that you're wanting to make in your life. And this and many other concepts I talk about are not only applicable for anyone in a leadership role, but also, and more importantly, for each one of us in our personal lives, right? And this could be you, it could be me, it could be your family, it could be your friend, it could be your kids, anybody. This applies to all of us. In the next video, I'm going to be taking the idea of this programmed subconscious belief system a little further and tie this into how it plays into the team environment and how you as a leader can work through it for team change. Now, if you're interested, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can check out my website and my book on Amazon through the links below. Maybe follow me on LinkedIn, where I share these and other insights as well. So anyway, thanks again, take care, and we'll see you next time.